Hello and welcome to another hardcore Nuzlocke. Today I want to attempt a run of Pokemon Emerald using only the poison types. For those of you that know me, for those of you that have paid attention to my videos in the past, you will know that my favorite types are poison and bug. All the way from Generation 1 up, I have loved them. I know that in earlier generations they didn't get a lot of love and they are hard to play with, but I've wanted to do this run for a while. I have sat here planning this run, thinking about it for the better part of a month. There are some extreme challenges that we have to deal with, some big hurdles that we need to get over, and with not a lot of encounters and a few other things that are going against us, on the surface, I thought this run was going to be nearly impossible. Taking a quick look at the Nuzlocke tracker, we have some decent encounters. However, if you start doing the math, we only have 6 encounters according to this list. Species Clause is a thing, so we're not going to get all of these Pokemon. Coughing and Grimer can be found in the same location, so we're going to have to pick one. And Spinarak is a Pokemon that is post-game only. So that leaves us with Zubat that can be found in Granite Cave, Oddish that can be found on Route 117 or 110, Tentacool that can be fished up in Dewford with the Old Rod, Coughing and Grimer can be found in the Fiery Path, Gulpin can be found on Route 110, and Seviper can be found on Route 114. The only thing that is not on this list, of course, is Dustox, because that is not a Pokemon that we encounter in the wild. We can catch a Wurmple on Route 101 and hope it evolves into a Cascoon. If not, we can get ourselves a Cascoon in the Petalburg Woods. Now, this list is it. We have 7 Pokemon to our disposal, and they are some good Pokemon, and some of these that I mentioned can be found in other locations. I just gave the earliest location we can find them. I think this team can do it. One of the biggest problems that we run into is, of course, the early game. Going up against Roxanne, we are only going to have a Dustox. Later on, once we get to Tate and Liza, they are going to be a huge hurdle. I have found in these runs of Hoenn that Tate and Liza tend to be the most difficult thing that we have to overcome in these runs. More difficult than the Elite Four most of the time. But I do have a plan. And that plan will come to light later when we get that route. First things first, we need to talk about what we are going to do to get past Roxanne. But before that, we named our rival Algorithm in our head because we can't change May's name. Because we are trying to beat the Algorithm both in-game and in real life. If you guys want to help me beat the Algorithm in real life, you can do so by liking the video, commenting, subscribing, all of those different things. Show YouTube that, hey, this guy is kind of okay. We want to watch his videos. Did you guys know? I got a Discord. I got all the social media things, but some of them are for video games and some of them are for personal use. The ones that are for video games are listed in the description below. As I've said before, I used to do some Minecraft videos, got kind of burned out of that after a few years. We're switching up. We're coming over to the Pokemon side of things. I love these runs. I'm having 10 tons of fun doing them. But if you guys want to follow me on some other platforms, we are slowly trying to change over the things to the Pokemon. And of course, the Discord is always open to talk about video games, Pokemon, everything within reason. Our first encounter is a Wurmple named Solar. We met it on Route 101. It does have a quiet plus special attack minus speed nature. Minus speed is never great, but this thing has some decent IVs, and with some EV training, I think it's going to be pretty decent. We're going to have to do a lot of training. I know this thing is not technically a poison type right now, but it does evolve into a Dustox. I made sure of that. And like with any other run, we do have a name theme in place. Solar is the first of 7 names. Can you guess what the name theme is? Put your guesses in the comments section below. So my decision for EV training is to up our special attack. And to do that, we need to fight wild Ralts on Route 102. The only bad thing about fighting these wild Ralts is they can only be found at a 4% encounter rate at level 4. It yields 40 experience every time we KO one, and if we break down the experience gain by the time we get to level 16, which I know is a level over the level cap, that puts us at 4,095 total experience that we will have gained. At level 2, we had 8 experience gained, so if we subtract the 2, that gives us 4,087 experience. If we divide that by 40, that gives us a total of 102 EVs that we can put into special attack, and that also keeps us from going over the level cap. This is going to take a while because this encounter rate is very, very low. I don't think it's worth us putting effort values into defense or HP or anything like that, so we are going to sit here and grind this up. With a little bit of luck, some EV training, we should be able to beat Roxanne. There are a couple of mandatory battles, one outside of Old Dale, the battle with our rival on Route 103, and a Aqua member in the Petalburg Woods, so we actually could only gain 100 effort values, but we did do that. Real time with speed up, this took about 2.5 hours to get ourselves EV trained up to the point where we are at. The game says we're something at like 8 hours. I don't know what the realistic thing is or how fast the speed up is, but we did sit there and effort value train as much as possible. Now the plan is to set up hardens as you see, hope that Geodude actually misses a rock tomb or rock throw, and then we can do some damage knocking out the first Geodude. There's a nice attack miss right there, and we can continue to set up hardens. You guys will also note that Rock Tomb is not lowering our speed, and that is because of our ability Shield Dust, where we can't be hit by the secondary effects of moves. Pretty nice ability. We do have an Oran Berry to heal up a little bit of the health, and now that we've set up a few hardens, we're going to try to take out the Geodude. With the special attack EVs, we do over half health, and we luckily confuse the Geodude. Doesn't hit itself in confusion, however, knocking us down to 22 HP. We fire off one more confusion that KOs the Geodude, and out comes Nose Pass. That's pretty surprising. We fire off a confusion against it, and it does about a quarter? We get hit with a Rock Tomb, and it is doing 10 HP of damage. This is not looking promising on attempt 1. It's not quite a quarter because we're not quite at half, and we get knocked down to 5 HP. That is unfortunate because now we are going to have to start the EV grind all over. So RNG plays a little bit of a role in these battles. We're going to go with the same strategy, setting up hardens and hoping that Geodude does other things. Turn 1, Geodude actually decides to go for Defense Curl, which is something it can do. It can miss with Rock Tomb, Rock Throw, and Tackle as well. So we just need to do a little bit of praying to RNGesus. This battle is not completely dependent upon RNG, however, the Geodudes do have a low special defense, so we can take them out relatively easy. It's the Nose Pass in the back that is a pain. Not only does the Nose Pass have a higher special defense, but Roxanne also has 2 potions, and Nose Pass has an Oran Berry, and in this generation there's no such thing as Bug Bite. So we've got to contend with all of that. We can hope to get Geodude down to a lower health to where Roxanne uses a potion, but as you'll see, our confusions with the special attack EVs that we've invested do over half damage. We do get taken down to 25 HP before we take out the first Geodude, so we're sitting at a little bit more HP after we level up at 28 HP for the Nose Pass, which is a lot better than where we were at in turn 1 or attempt 1. We go for a confusion, it's doing about the same, and we get hit with a Rock Tomb. We go for confusion turn 2, and Nose Pass goes for Harden. There's that RNGesus. We go for confusion down to just below half health, and the Oran Berry activates. We go for confusion again, bringing it to half health, and Nose Pass misses a Rock Tomb. Very clutch. We go for confusion again to low yellow health, and we get hit with a Rock Tomb down to 15 HP, and Roxanne goes for a potion. That is annoying. We could also get a critical hit. That would be amazing. We do get back-to-back confusions to take Nose Pass down to half health, and it hits us with a block so we can't escape, because we have other Pokemon to switch into. We hit it with another confusion back to where it was before the potion, and Nose Pass misses, and Roxanne uses its second and final potion. What a whirlwind of an adventure here. We get back-to-back confusions again, no critical hits, but it is down to about half health. Nosepass misses a Rock Tomb. We hit it with another confusion down to yellow health. We get hit with a Rock Tomb down to 8 HP, meaning Rock Tombs are doing 7 HP of damage. We hit it with another confusion to low red health, and it misses a Rock Tomb. That is huge. We knock it out with one final confusion, even though it was a critical hit. That was a little bit late. Out comes Roxanne's final Geodude. Are we going to do this on attempt 2? We hit it with a confusion that doesn't quite do half, and we get hit with a Rock Tomb down to 2 HP. I need a crit. I need a high roll. I need something. Can we do it? No. So freaking close. Attempt number 3, and I actually misclick. On the first turn, I click Confusion instead of going for Harden, and we get a critical hit down to red health. Geodude misses a Rock Tomb. That is a huge thing. Roxanne goes for her first potion. That's amazing. Geodude is sitting at 3/4 health, but we have used up a potion. We start going for Hardens at this turn. We get back-to-back Hardens. Geodude hits us with a Rock Tomb. We get a third Harden off as Geodude hits us with another Rock Tomb. We go for a fourth Harden, and Geodude gets another Rock Tomb. Not a single miss yet. We go for a fifth Harden, and a fifth Rock Tomb hits us down below half HP, and our Oran Berry activates. It's at this point that we start going on the offense. We hit it with a confusion to red health. Geodude misses a Rock Tomb, and another confusion knocks it out. We're sitting at 28 HP before the level up, 31 after, and Nosepass comes out. We hit it with a confusion. It fires back with a decent little Rock Tomb. We hit it with another confusion, still doing the same amount of damage. Rock Tomb's doing about 8 HP of damage to us. We hit it with another confusion down to yellow health, and we get hit down to 9 HP as the Oran Berry of Nosepass activates. Another confusion brings it below half health. We get knocked down to 2 HP with a Rock Tomb. Another confusion takes it to middle yellow health, and Nosepass misses a Rock Tomb. That is huge, but Roxanne goes for a potion. We do not get a critical hit with our confusions, taking it down to middle health, and it takes us out with another Rock Tomb, ending attempt number 3. Now, my strategy with Hardens have always been, once we get to low health and our Oran Berry activates, we stop using Hardens. At that point, we start trying to take out the Pokemon, and we hope for the best. We get hit with a Rock Throw on the first turn after a Harden. We go for a second Harden, and Geodude actually misses its next attack. We go for a third Harden and get hit with a Rock Tomb. They're doing decent amount of damage. We get off a fourth Harden. Geodude hits us with another Rock Tomb down to 20 HP, activating our Oran Berry. It's at this point I go for Confusion, and we've got a little bit better IV this time because we do well over half health, and Geodude goes for Defense Curl. Because we're going to two-shot this thing, Roxanne reads that and goes for a potion. That's amazing. We take Geodude back down into yellow health with another Confusion, and then we outspeed it and take it out with another Confusion, leaving us at 33 HP as the Nosepass comes out. We go for Confusion, and it's still doing about the same, but Nosepass goes for Harden. We go for another Confusion to about half health, and Nosepass hits us with a Rock Tomb that's only doing about 7 HP of damage. We hit it with a Confusion down to low yellow health, and we get hit with Block. Amazing. The Oran Berry activates, bringing it to half health. We take it right back to yellow health with Confusion, and we get hit with a Rock Tomb down to 19 HP. Roxanne uses up her second and final potion. We hit it with back-to-back Confusions to take it to middle yellow HP and get hit with a Rock Tomb down to 12 HP. Another Confusion takes it into the red health, and Nosepass misses a Rock Tomb, which is huge. We take it out with another Confusion. Out comes Roxanne's last Geodude, and provided we can do over half health, we win. Luckily for us, we crit, KOing the Geodude, winning the first gym on attempt number 4. Amazing. I actually sat here for about a minute, just kerfuffled, happy and shocked that we won. I thought for sure this was going to take 10 more attempts. I'm literally just sitting here going, I won? I've won. Amazing. South of Rustboro, we have a battle with our rival Algorithm. Now, we did give her the Torchic, but none of these battles are really going to be that difficult. We are weak to fire types because of our Dustox, but after we get a couple of encounters under our belt, it's not really going to be an issue. Lotad just goes for Growl to lower our attacks, so 2 Confusions take it out. When the Torchic comes out, we go for Confusion that does about half of its health, and it hits us with an Ember that does 15 HP of damage. A follow-up Confusion knocks her out. Like I said, I don't think Algo is going to be a problem in this run. Landing in Dewford gives us access to the old rod from this fisherman right here, and that nets us another encounter immediately. And it is an amazing, probably the most amazing encounter we can get our hands on, which is Farmed Fish, the Tentacool. It has a quirky neutral nature we met in Dewford Town. This thing is going to be a beast. Any of you that have ever tried a Nuzlocke know that Tentacool is amazing. One of my all-time favorites here is Zubat named Wind Power. It has a naughty plus attack minus special defense nature. That plus attack is amazing for what we're going to do with it. And Crobat is one of my favorite Pokemon alongside Dunsparce and Castform. Against Brawly, I was planning on using the Zubat. However, Wind Power doesn't learn a flying move until a couple of levels after the level cap at level 21. So I go for Confusion with Solar against the Machop, and we get the Confusion. How great isn't that? Not only does that happen, but Machop actually hurts itself in Confusion, taking itself out. That is wonderful. We need an easy win because Roxanne was a pain. Out comes Metatite, and as long as we attack Metatite, it can't do anything to us. We hit it with a Confusion, and it doesn't quite do half. Metatite goes for Bulk Up. I decide on the next turn I'm going to go for Poison Sting to take this thing below half, and it goes for Reflect. I'm not sure if we did enough damage, so I go ahead and hit it with another Poison Sting that actually gets the poison. Metatite goes for Bulk Up. It's a little too late because we take it out with another Confusion. Out comes Makuhita. We hit it with a Confusion for 3/4 of its health, and it hits us with a Vital Throw for 4 HP. Citrus Berry activates, bringing this thing up to about 7/8 health, and we critical hit it with a Confusion to win a very easy second gym badge. Right after Brawly, we have Wind Power evolve into a Golbat because level cap is level 24, and then I did a bunch of running around like a madman, boosting our friendship so that we can get this exceptionally strong evolution beast of a Pokemon known as Crobat. It does have some weaknesses to electric and ice and psychic, but it is very fast and it hits like a truck. I'm so excited to use this thing. Let's go. Now in Route 110, I actually need to rappel through this entire route because we have a chance to find both Gulpin and Oddish. I need to get to Mauville, go to the left of Mauville onto Route 117, and there we can catch an Oddish, and then we will backtrack to this route to get a Gulpin. We do have the notorious May battle that we have to get through first. However, I'm not too worried about this battle. As I said before, we have a beastly evolution into Wind Power. It has a stab move in Wing Attack, and we one-shot the Wingull with Wing Attack. Out comes Combusken, and because of its fighting type, we one-shot it with Wing Attack. And last but not least is Lumbre, who goes down to a single Wing Attack as well. This Pokemon is amazing. I don't care what you say. On Route 117, we catch an Oddish named Vegan. It has a hasty plus speed minus defense nature. Awesome. It has the Chlorophyll ability. This thing's going to become a Vileplume. It's going to be a great support Pokemon on the team. I'm excited to use it. As I said before, backtracking to Route 110, we get Gulpin named Organic. It has a docile, neutral nature. I've never, ever even caught this Pokemon before, so I'm a little bit excited to see what Gulpin and Swalot can do. For Watson, I only had one idea. Organic can learn the move Rollout, which can be taught from a move tutor here in Mauville. We're going to put the Voltorb to sleep. We do get outsped because Voltorb. We get hit with a Shockwave that doesn't do a lot of damage, and we fire off a Yawn. However, Voltorb decides to go for Spark on the next turn that gets a critical hit and paralyzes us, but we had a Cherry Berry for this situation. I then set up Rollout, and Voltorb goes to sleep. The second Rollout takes it to yellow health, and a third Rollout knocks it cleanly out. Electrike comes out, we outspeed it, and we take it out with the fourth Rollout, and Magneton comes out, and this is the reason I wanted the Rollout setup. We outspeed the Magneton, and the fifth and most powerful Rollout does knock it out, despite being not very effective. That was amazing. I didn't quite know if it was going to work. Manectric comes out, we're too low of health, so I swap into Vegan, who I know resists electric. We get hit with a Shockwave on the swap in, and it doesn't do that much damage. We then get off a Sleep Powder, putting Manectric to sleep. I decide to start hitting this thing with Acid. It stays asleep as we bring it to half health and swap to Absorb to activate its Citrus Berry. We then go for Acid again as it stays asleep, and we get it to just above half health, and it wakes up and hits us with a very nasty quick attack down to 30 HP. I decide to stay in and get hit with another quick attack. We can live, provided it's not a crit, and we put the Manectric to sleep again. Sitting at 14 HP, I'm not going to risk the quick wake up, and I swap into Solar. Manectric stays asleep as we fire off 2 Psybeams down to red health. Watson then goes for a Super Potion, and we fire off back-to-back Psybeams to bring this thing to about half health. We take it down to low yellow health with another Psybeam, and Watson hits its final Super Potion. We hit another Psybeam, taking it down to about 3/4 of its health, and Manectric wakes up, hitting us with a Shockwave. Another Psybeam brings this thing down to half health, and it hits us with another Shockwave. I then decide to go for Moonlight, as Manectric hits us down to 6 HP. We heal up. Looks like we're out healing the Manectric, so we go for Moonlight again, and decide to use a Protect to just kind of waste some power points. Manectric continues to hit us with Shockwave. We continue to use Moonlight, which we only have so many of, and Protect. Eventually, Manectric takes us down to 45 HP, and I hit another Psybeam to knock this thing out. I prolonged this battle a little bit more than I should have, but we did win, and we didn't lose a single Pokemon. Now, here we are in Fiery Path, and my encounter has to be a Coughing, not a Torkoal. You were a beast, by the way. Amazing. If I don't get the Coughing, I'm going to have to reset. And there it is. I was speeding it up because I was getting impatient. Perfect. If we got a Grimer, my plans would be null and void. Now what we need to do is we need to catch this thing. It's going to sit in the box for a little while. You need to stay alive till the 7th gym. And here is our Coughing named Eevee. It has a bashful neutral nature, and I have big team galactic plans for you, my friend. Wink wink, hint hint. On our journeys, we managed to get our last encounter, which is a Seviper named Paper Products. I didn't get the products in there, but it has a quirky neutral nature, and I have never used one of these either, so I'm excited to see what this Pokemon can do. Up against Flannery, our plan is to use the Bubble Beam Simulator 2024 that we have installed in our computer. Basically, we click A until these Pokemon go away. We one-shot the Numel with Bubble Beam. Slugma comes out and we one-shot it with Bubble Beam. Camerupt comes out and it too falls to Bubble Beam. Both Numel and Camerupt are quad weak to Bubble Beam. Torkoal comes out and this thing's a little bit more beastly. It does survive a Bubble Beam, however we do well over half health. It hits us with a Body Slam for well over half health, and had that crit it would have taken us out. but we go unpunished and knock out the Torkoal with one more Bubble Beam, winning us a very easy 4th gym badge. I did all of the back and forth to get the TM for return. I taught the TM to Wind Power. We're leading with Wind Power. It has max friendship. We know it's going to do max damage. I do have a held Person Berry just in case of confusion. But we do 7/8 of Spinda's health, and instead of going for Teeter Dance, it goes for Psybeam, so I could have held the Silk Scarf and probably one-shot the Spinda. Not only is my dad a deadbeat, but he is a cheater as well and uses a Hyper Potion. Doesn't matter, however, we do get back-to-back returns off to knock out the Spinda. Vigoroth comes out, we outspeed it to do significant damage, well over half health with return, and it hits us with a very weak slash. We knock it out with one more return. Lanoon comes out, and Wind Power isn't having any of Lanoon's shenanigans. It one-shots it with a critical hit. Out comes Slacking. We go for Confuse Ray on turn 1, and surprisingly Slacking does hurt itself. On its loafing turn, I go for Return. Next turn, I go for Return again, knocking this thing below half of its health, and it breaks through Confusion to hit us with a Yawn. It then heals up a little bit of its health with a Citrus Berry, and I decide to swap into Solar instead of going to sleep with Wind Power. It is at this point Solar knows Protect, so during its attacking turn we Protect, and on our attacking turn, essentially, we go for Psybeam. We do get this thing deep into the red health where Norman uses another Hyper Potion, but it's just back and forth until we run out of power points for Protect. At that point, I swap into Seviper, who I have taught the TM for Dig. We then do the same exact thing, just using Dig, whittling this thing down, and on the last turn, I decide to go for Poison Tail, outspeeding it and beating our dad for the 5th gym badge. South on Route 119, just before we fight our rival, we can surf and get ourselves to this Leaf Stone. Once we teach Gloom Moonlight at level 35, we can then evolve it into Vileplume. Against our rival on Route 119 and her annoying Pelipper, I decide to lead with Organic, who can learn the Shockwave TM. It does go for Protect, that's why I said it's annoying, but eventually we do get off a Shockwave that is quad super effective, knocking out the Pelipper in one hit. Out comes Combusken, and I swap into Wind Power. Combusken is just going for Bulk Up. So I hit it with a Stab, super effective wing attack that should one-shot it, but it doesn't, leaving it on a sliver of health. We get hit with a Sand Attack in the process. A follow-up wing attack does take the Combusken out. Out comes Maze Lombre, and it goes for Fake Out, but we have Inner Focus so we don't get flinched, and we take out the Lombre with a single wing attack. Against Winona, our strategy is simple. We have farmed fish, it's very fast, and it can learn Ice Beam. We'll be able to one-shot the Swablu with Ice Beam. Altaria and Tropius are quad weak to it. We should win this battle, no problem. Altaria is going to come out next because it has Earthquake. We bait it out with our Poison weakness. We outspeed it and one-shot it with a quad super effective Ice Beam. Next up is Skarmory. Skarmory takes neutral damage from Ice Beam and it doesn't quite do half, so we get hit with an Aerial Ace. I decide to go for a Stab Surf that does knock out the Skarmory. Out comes Tropius and we one-shot it with a quad super effective Ice Beam. Out next is Pelipper. I swap into Organic and of course we get hit with a Supersonic on the swap, so I swap immediately back into Farmed Fish on a Protect. It's at this point I was going to swap out, but I decide to stay in, not doing any damage to this thing until it uses Supersonic against us. Once we get confused, I then swap into Organic, who can take out the Pelipper with a quad super effective Shockwave, winning us a very, very easy 6th gym badge. Once again, it's very weird to get to Lily Cove City and immediately start heading left and not go to the Safari Zone. There is an encounter in the Safari Zone for us, but once again, it's post-game. It's not now. Normally we have a bike, we have the Pokeblock case, we have an idea of what we're going to do, but this time we're just going to go to Mount Pyre. We're actually going to surf around Mount Pyre to begin with. I do have a Grass-type Pokemon on my team. Vileplume was over-leveled for the last battle, so we didn't use her, but having her on the team and we head south, we can talk to this lady that will give us the Giga Drain TM. It's actually going to be a great additional move for farmed fish. Surprisingly, that's where we're going to go with that. I'm also going to battle our rival outside of the department store because I do want to get my hands on a couple of Protect TMs. We go for Poison Fang against Tropius. We do get a critical hit, but it is super effective, and I wanted to use Paper to see how it would do, knocking out the Tropius. Out comes Kabuskin, and I decide to go for Dig as it goes for Bulk Up. And because of the Bulk Ups, Dig did just over half, but it's not going to do enough damage to take it out again. We get hit with a Quick Attack, and I go for Poison Fang that once again crits, knocking out the Kabuskin, and out comes Pelipper. Of course, it goes for its Protect strats, which is annoying. We do connect with a Poison Fang that doesn't quite do half, but it gets the poison. And Poison Fang does toxic type of poison damage. We get hit with Supersonic, so I swap into Organic. Pelipper goes for Mist, gets sapped a little bit with Poison, goes for Protect, and eventually we get off a Shockwave, knocking this thing out. It was on a timer nonetheless. Ludicolo comes out, and I swap back into Paper. We get hit with a Swift on the swap in, but once again it's weak to Poison, and it goes down to a single Poison Fang. Paper making a really good showing. Now we can go do some shopping. The plan for Tate and Liza has always been to take EV, let it learn Explosion at level 41, evolve into a Weezing at level 42, EV train it in attack, and lead with it and Wind Power against Tate and Liza. Wind Power I did teach the Protect TM, which is why we battled May outside of the department store. I have EV trained EV to the max. We've given it a Silk Scarf. We go for Protect with Wind Power, so we will be immune to the explosion, and EV lets off a monster explosion, Silk Scarf boosted 250 base power normal move that cleanly one-shots the Claydol. It's also strong enough to cleanly one-shot the Xatu. Thank you so much, EV. You have made this battle half as hard for your sacrifice. This leaves Lunatone and Solrock. Lunatone is defensively weak, and Solrock is actually weak on the special defense side. So I'm going to send in Farmed Fish with Wind Power. We should be able to double up and take out these Pokemon. I also taught Wind Power the TM for Shadow Ball. I know that we are weak to Psychic, so we want to get this knocked out very quick. I go for Shadow Ball against the Lunatone, and it does a significant amount of damage, all the way deep into the red. Berries don't activate until end of turn, so Lunatone gets taken out with a Surf. Solrock, being weak to special defense, takes a huge amount of damage down into middle yellow health. Just goes for Sunny Day, and that is the battle. Solrock does heal up with a Citrus Berry, but the Citrus Berry heal doesn't matter. We double up on Shadow Ball and Surf once again, firing off a strong Shadow Ball, strong enough to take out the Solrock, winning us a very easy 7th gym badge. I honestly don't know a better strategy. Eevee, you're going in the box to take the long nap, and without you, my friend, we would have never made this. In the spill kit is our Eevee. If you guys have gotten what the name theme is by now, kudos. I'll see you in the comments section. Once again, thank you so much, Eevee, for your sacrifice. It was tremendous. Don't mind me, Titans, just passing through. I need to talk to Steven Stone, who's going to take me to the Cave of Origins. We're going to talk to Wallace, and he is going to have me tell him where the Sky Daddy is to take care of these two raging kids. I don't really understand why a kid has to do this in all these different games. Don't get me wrong, it's great gameplay, but why? For one, we are going to lead with Farm Fish. I did teach it the Giga Drain TM. This thing is fast, it can take a hit. Really, Juan has nothing that can do anything to Farmed Fish except for his Whiscash, which we should bait out second. We one-shot the Love Disc, and sure enough, the Whiscash comes out, who we cleanly one-shot with a Giga Drain because of its 4 times weakness to grass. Out comes the Kingdra. We fire off an Ice Beam that does about 1/3 of its health, and it claps back with a very weak Ice Beam. I go for another Ice Beam, and Kingdra decides to use Rest. Immediately wakes up because of the Chesto Berry, and we do another 1/3 with Ice Beam. We get hit with a very weak Water Pulse, and barring a confusion, we should win this relatively easy. We let off another Ice Beam and get hit with a Water Pulse, and a final Ice Beam takes out the Kingdra, a very easy battle. Against the Celio, we fire off a Giga Drain, completely healing up the lost health from Kingdra, and we get hit with a fairly weak Body Slam. Another Giga Drain KOs the Celio, and last for Juan is his Crawdaunt, who we do significant damage with Giga Drain. Crawdaunt just goes for Taunt. Juan heals with a Hyper Potion. I go for Ice Beam for some chip damage. And then on our final turn, I use Giga Drain, knocking out the Crawdaunt, winning us the 8th and final gym badge. I have never shown off a Wally battle in a single run of mine. At the beginning of Victory Road in Pokemon Emerald, you have to battle your rival Wally. It's at the end of Victory Road in Ruby and Sapphire that you fight him. His team is formidable for sure, but he's not that great of a trainer, and we have plenty to counter his team. Against his lead Altaria, I start with Farmed Fish. Altaria is no match for a quad, super effective, Ice Beam, and goes down in one shot. Out comes Gardevoir, and I know it doesn't like to go for Psychic turn 1. It likes to go for Future Sight, so I swap into Wind Power, and sure enough, Gardevoir goes for Future Sight. We can outspeed it and one-shot it with a super effective Shadow Ball next turn. Out comes Magneton, and I don't have any moves that can deal any damage, so I swap into Organic. We get hit with a Screech on the swap in, and I decide to go for a Yawn. Magneton hits us with another Screech, so I Encore it, and this is where we start doing some pretty minimal damage with Shockwaves. I should have just swapped out at this point while Magneton was asleep, but I was worried about an early wake-up. We get it low into the red health, and it wakes up. It hits us with a Tri-Attack. Wally uses a full restore. We're doing minimal damage again with Shockwave, so I decide to swap into Farm Fish, who gets hit with a Tri-Attack, and we cleanly knock it out with a Surf. Out comes Delcatty, and we don't take it out with a single Surf. Deep into the red health, we get hit with a resisted Feint Attack. Wally uses another full restore. I see you're taking strides from all the different gym leaders. Bad strategy, my dude, but we get a high roll on the next Surf and knock it out. Last but not least is Roselia, who can't take a super effective Ice Beam, and we win. So here is the team before we battle the Elite Four. We have Paper the Seviper with Poison Tail, Flamethrower, Earthquake, and Return. I should have taught this thing Flamethrower sooner so we could have beaten Wally's Magneton. We have Organic the Swalot with Shockwave, Yawn, Encore, and Toxic. Next we have Vegan the Vileplume with Solar Beam, Sleep Powder, Sunny Day, and Moonlight. My favorite Pokemon, Wind Power the Crobat with Aerial Ace, Confuse Ray, Shadow Ball, and Return. Next up is Solar the Dustox, our starter with Psychic, Protect, Light Screen, and Moonlight. I don't know how much screen time you're going to see, buddy. And last, we have Farm Fish the Tentacruel with Ice Beam, Protect, Surf, and Giga Drain. I might change Protect for Rain Dance, I'm not sure. But there's no time like the present. Let's get started. Against Sydney, I decide to lead with Paper because I forgot Mightyena has Intimidate. We get hit with the Intimidate drop, which does matter. I do go for Earthquake because we're holding the Soft Sand, and it does about half of its health. Luckily for us, Mightyena decides to go for Double Edge. The recoil from that is going to be enough for us to take it out with another Earthquake. Out next is Shiftry. This is why we taught Flamethrower. We cleanly one-shot the Shiftry with Flamethrower. Cacturn is next, and it too goes down to a single Flamethrower. Up next is Crawdaunt. I'd go for Return, which surprisingly doesn't even do half, and Crawdaunt goes for Swords Dance. I go for Earthquake, which takes it deep into the red health, and we get hit with a Facade down to 16 HP, so I swap into Farm Fish. I know Sydney's going to heal, which he does with a full restore, and I hit Crawdaunt with a Giga Drain that one-shots it. Last is Absol, who we hit with a Surf, and we leave it on a sliver of health. We get hit with a fairly weak Rock Slide, and Absol's Citrus Berry activates, pulling it out of healing range, and we take it out with a Giga Drain. For Phoebe, I'm going to lead with Wind Power against her Ghost because we know Shadow Ball. The lead Dusclops, however, is very annoying because it likes to go for Protect, and it has the ability Pressure, which I don't really realize until about middle of this fight. Dusclops gets a protect off the first turn. The second turn it fails, and we hit this thing with a Shadow Ball, and despite everything, we leave it in red health, which means Phoebe's going to heal with a full restore. I decide to go for Aerial Ace the next turn, and we do about half, so I decide to go for Aerial Ace again, and Dusclops protects itself. Dusclops gets hit with an Aerial Ace down to a sliver, 1 HP, that has to be 1 HP, and then proceeds to get back-to-back protects just to drag this battle into a minute 19 by the time we take this thing out with another Aerial Ace. Out comes Bayonet. Bayonet goes down to a single Shadow Ball. Out comes her more powerful and better Dusclops that has some type coverage. I know Shadow Ball's not going to KO this thing, but I know it has a Citrus Berry as well. So even if we were to put this thing in red health, it would heal itself out of healing range. We actually tank Ice Beam very, very well. There's that Citrus Berry heal, and one more Shadow Ball takes out the Dusclops. Out next is her last Bayonet. We take it down with a single Shadow Ball, and out comes Sableye. I decide to go for a stab Aerial Ace against it. I know this thing likes to use Double Team. I wanted to see what Aerial Ace would do. It does over half, and Sableye doesn't disappoint. Goes for Double Team, so we take it out with another Aerial Ace on the next turn. I honestly had very little strategy going into Glacia. I did teach Paper Flamethrower for this battle as well, but it's not very good on the special defense side. Earthquake does do over half, and I know Celio's going to set up the hail, so another Earthquake does KO the first Celio. Out comes Glalie. We use Flamethrower, taking this thing into low yellow health, and it goes for Icy Wind, which is annoying. Glacia uses a full restore. I go for another Flamethrower to take this right back to the health it was at, and we get hit with an Ice Beam that takes us to 11 HP and freezes us. Of course it does. I decide to swap in Organic, because I don't want to lose any Pokemon, and we get hit with a fairly weak Crunch. We take out the Glalie with a Shockwave. Celio comes out. We do well over half of its health with Shockwave, and it just sets up the hail, so another Shockwave cleanly takes it out. Glalie comes out, and I know this thing is going to do damage to us. The chip damage from hail is annoying as well, so I go for Yawn. Ice Beam takes us down to 77 HP after the hail. We hit it with a Shockwave, and another Ice Beam takes us to 26 HP. Glalie falls asleep. I send out Vegan. Glalie stays asleep. I go for Sunny Day. Glalie wakes up, goes for Hail. I have to go for Sunny Day again. We get hit with an Ice Beam in the process, down to 53 HP. This is a Hail Mary play. I need Vegan to stay in for the Wall Rain in the back, and we cleanly one-shot the Glalie with a Solar Beam. Very nice. Now, can Vegan one-shot the Wall Rain? That is the question. Wall Rain comes out. We fire off a Sun-boosted Solar Beam. It's not really boosted. And we do. We do cleanly one-shot the Wall Rain from full health. That is amazing. We didn't lose a Pokemon, and I really didn't have a good matchup into her Ice types. If you thought I was going to use any other Pokemon but Farmed Fish and Ice Beam in this battle, then you are crazier than me. Of course, I'm going to use Ice Beam, and surprisingly, Shelgon doesn't go for Protect, so we cleanly one-shot it with Ice Beam. Out comes Flygon. We outspeed it and take it out with a quad super effective Ice Beam. Out comes Altaria, and we outspeed it and take it out with a quad super effective Ice Beam. Next up is Kingdra. I was hoping that Salamence would come out. We fire off an Ice Beam that gets a freeze. That is huge, but of course Kingdra defrosts immediately and hits us with a Body Slam. Because Ice Beam did a little over a third, I go for Giga Drain to heal back some health and hopefully put this thing in range to KO it with another Ice Beam. We get hit with another Body Slam, down to 97 HP, and I go for Ice Beam that puts this thing at 1 HP as Kingdra goes for a Dragon Dance. Oh no. Drake heals up with a full restore, and I go for Ice Beam. I do the same thing as I did before and go for Giga Drain, healing up some of our health back to 115 HP, and Kingdra greedily goes for Dragon Dance. It outspeeds us and hits us with a body slam down to 26 HP, not enough for the KO, and we do get the high roll this time and KO it with Ice Beam. That leaves just Salamence, and there's nothing else I can do but stay in and try to KO this thing with a single Ice Beam. We outspeed it and fire off an Ice Beam, and luckily for us, it is enough to KO Salamence, getting us to the final battle, the champion of the Elite Four, without losing a single Pokemon. Wallace leads with Wailord and I lead with Organic. Wailord has Water Spout, it's based on its health, so I'm going to take this thing down to low health as much as I can. We fire off a Shockwave, and surprisingly, it does about half of Wailord's health. Wailord, unsurprisingly, goes for Rain Dance this turn, and we fire off another Shockwave that gets a little bit better of a roll and actually KOs the Wailord. This baits in the Gyarados that has Earthquake, and that is amazing. We outspeed it and fire off a quad super effective Shockwave, but, shockingly, it doesn't KO. That's illegal. Gyarados fires off a Dragon Dance. That's not good. Wallace goes for a full restore. We take it back to red health with another Shockwave, and Gyarados hits us with a +1 Earthquake down to 11 HP. I cannot believe we tanked that, and we fire back with a Shockwave, knocking out the Gyarados. Out comes Whiscash, and because of that show of strength, I don't want to let Organic go, so I swap into Vegan. This is probably a bad hard switch, but Whiscash just went for Surf, which is resisted. I do have to set up a Sunny Day on the next turn, and Whiscash goes for Earthquake that crits us to 17 HP, because why wouldn't it? We do fire off a quad super effective Solar Beam, however, taking out the Whiscash, and up next is Melodic. I figure we can knock this thing out because we knocked out a Walrein from full health, but I was incorrect. We leave it on a sliver of red health, and he takes us out with a Surf. That sucks. I swap in Farmed Fish, Melodic Citrus Berry activates, and I take it out with a Giga Drain. Out next is Ludicolo. I decide to go for Ice Beam, which doesn't actually do a lot of damage, and Ludicolo's going for Double Team. So I hard switch into Wind Power, who evades a Leech Seed, and we fire off an Aerial Ace that takes it out. Last but not least, for Wallace is his own Farmed Fish. We go for Aerial Ace, which doesn't quite do half, and we get hit with a fairly decent Ice Beam. I decide to go for Confuse Ray on the next turn. Tentacruel is confused, and surprisingly enough, Tentacruel hurts itself in confusion, putting it in range for us to KO it with one more Aerial Ace, winning us the champion battle, winning us the run with poison types in Hoenn. Wow. As I said at the beginning of this run, this is something I have been planning for the better part of a month. Going up against Roxanne with just a Dustox was going to be difficult, but I knew with enough attempts and a little bit of RNG, we could do it. Tate and Liza were what really threw me for a loop. Every time I came up with an idea to get through her, I would stumble. I would find a way that these Pokemon would definitely get KO'd. Weezing ended up being the answer. That's why we had to get it. And some of these Pokemon on the team are renowned as great Nuzlocking Pokemon, such as Tentacruel and Crobat. But others on the team have done really good. Dustox was great in the early game and we haven't used it since, but Vileplume, Swalot, and Seviper were all great Pokemon in their own right. I'm very excited that we did this. Hoenn is one of my favorite games, or Gen 3 is one of my favorite games. Emerald is a great game. I do love Ruby and Sapphire as well. And Poison types are my favorite type of Pokemon. Very happy that we did this. I got to play with my favorite Pokemon and some other really, really good ones. Now, as for the name theme of these Pokemon isn't as cut and dry as it is with other themes. What I did in this one was kind of a thinker. Basically, I named these Pokemon after things that people think are good for the environment, but actually aren't. If you don't believe me, do your own research. You don't have to believe me. But I thought it would be really, really funny. And that's why I named the box the Spill Kit, as opposed to Deaths or the Afterlife or whatever. I thought it was a neat idea, a neat little play on things, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed this video so much. I've wanted to do it for a while. We finally got to do it, so I really hope you guys enjoy it as well. If you do, please leave a like, leave a comment. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Thank you guys so much for the continued support. We're sitting at 550 subs at the time of recording. That's nice to see. Again, 50 since the last time we were recording. It's amazing. You guys are amazing. This was so much fun. Thank you so much. As always, it's a pleasure, and I will see you on the next one.